You're listening to the What's Happening podcast with Gary Watts.
Good morning. I'm here with Audrey Wiedemeier with the Bike Library in Iowa City. Audrey, how are you?
I'm good. How
Welcome.
are you, Gary?
I see you rode your bike over here in the rain. I love that, by the way.
It's invigorating.
How was it? It was good?
It was good. I just put my, rain coat on and put my hood up over my helmet and stayed pretty dry.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk about cycling. Let's talk about fitness, whatever you want to talk about. But let's talk about maybe what happened after COVID, how you got to Iowa City. I'll just be quiet now. But wherever you want to take this, because what's more fun than riding a bike?
Swimming.
Swimming. Okay, good. Don't say running. Swimming might be more relaxing and better for your joints, huh?
Yep. Well, I remember when I was in middle school in 8th grade, I rode my bike. We lived out on the side, on the edge of town, kind of in the country at that point.
Iowa City?
Ames.
Ames, okay.
Grew up in Ames, rode my bike to the middle school, and I had a white T-shirt on and a mud strip up my back when I got into the building, and my friends were making fun of me. And I just remember, like, wagging myself off like a dog and feeling so good. I didn't care what anybody thought.
Yeah.
I was like, that was awesome.
How far was it?
It was probably like 2 miles. And when I was 16, I put my old mountain bike in the back of the truck and went to Boone, Iowa, and did my first triathlon.
Oh, really?
And because I was a swimmer, and so I was like, I got this. I'm on the varsity team, and the biking portion of it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done.
Really? How was the swim?
The swim, I was first.
Right, because everybody's worried about the swim. That makes them nervous.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of activity in it, or did you go out single file?
It was a lot of activity.
You went in all at once?
Yeah.
Sprint distance?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a grandma that was passing me on her cruiser bike, on her beach cruiser bike when I was biking.
Uh-oh.
I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is fit. And
single speed?
Yeah.
That's
because I didn't know how to
a little bit.
shift.
Oh.
I didn't know how to shift. So, because when do you learn those skills?
Right.
And so fast forward to when I was at the University of Iowa and getting lots of parking tickets. I got my bike stolen. I went home. My mom gave me her bike. That one ended up getting stolen too. Everybody tells that, has that same story. But then I bought my first bike at Jeff's Bike and Ski, my first new bike ever. And that was a game changer. And I invested, $800 into it. And I wanted to learn how to maintain it. And so I started going to the bike library because they had benches where you could go and just work on your own stuff. So after I graduated, I went and got a job at the Iowa Bike Coalition because I just commuted everywhere and I was becoming an avid commuter. And after that, an AmeriCorps position opened up at the bike library. And so I took that. And so for a year, I ran the bike library as an AmeriCorps member.
Tell us about AmeriCorps. What is that?
So AmeriCorps is basically a volunteer position for experiential learning. And it was great for me because I loved having the challenge of taking on something that no one really gave me the tools for. I wasn't a very good mechanic at that point either. I actually saved up my own money and went to the United Bicycle Institute in Ashland, Oregon before I started that, so that I could be a little bit more confident in running programs and talking to customers and whatnot. So I knew that I needed more education if I wanted to succeed in like that role of running a bike shop. And the bike library is, and at that point was, all volunteer run. And there are incredible volunteers that have been there for a really long time and then cycle through periodically that contribute to the mission of getting more people on bicycles. So I was hooked on biking. I decided I was going to leave the States, go bike in South America, travel around the world, and landed back here in Iowa City in 2017. And at that point, the bike library had a paid director who was phasing out of her tenure. And so I applied for the job, and I've been there for 5 years.
Wow, that's great. How'd you get from Ames to Iowa City?
College.
University of Iowa?
Yeah.
Even from Iowa State country, huh?
Yes.
You want to get out of Ames.
I wanted to get out of Ames.
So how do you promote biking? I mean, as far as a fitness thing, I mean, did you do any more triathlons?
Yep. I was on the Tri-Hawks.
Oh, you were?
Yep.
Okay.
In college. And, people always ask me what I'm training for. And I just tell them life.
Yeah.
Like, I could, if I had to do a triathlon tomorrow, I would.
Yeah.
The running would be hard.
Yeah.
I would suffer through that.
Yeah.
But
You're on the Tri-Hawks. Who was the, I can't remember his name. I should. He was Russian. And he was the best on the Tri-Hawks, and he ended up being a pro. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
I wish I remember his name. Forgive me on this, but I'll remember it later. But he was fantastic. I remember the Tri-Hawks, when we had it below the dam, I did that day. It was at Corvo Lake, and we started below the dam. That's where the transition was, right? And then he was, I can't remember how fast it was, like 105 on a sprint or something. It was amazing how fast he was. Anyway, so let's talk about how you promote cycling, what goes on at the bike library, and how people can use it, and those kinds of things, if you want.
So we've very recently, as of this week, refreshed our vision statement after 20 years. And so our vision for the future is to empower people to make biking a primary form of transportation in our community.
Okay.
We have a really long ways to go.
Yeah.
But we've honed our skills as far as how to get people who are new to the bike life more comfortable and confident and empowered to make the decision to maybe even bike once a week to work. We serve lots of recreational riders. We even have a bike library racing team that supports amateur athletes. And because once you get hooked, you really want to, sometimes you want to do more. But the core of our mission is really to serve commuters, people who are biking 2 miles around town, that want to haul some things, and that just want to reduce their carbon footprint, get outside, get some, nature in their life in between screen time, or for whatever reason you choose to ride around town. We have about 15 different socially conscious programs that allow people to enter the world of biking in different ways that are good for them. So, for example, we've been piloting a program called Mujeres en Bicis. So this is for moms, primarily from Latin America, who have never ridden before, who want to learn to ride a bike. So that's one way to get people riding. Outspoken Teens is our Thursday program for teens. So any teen who wants to work on their bike, wants to get a bike, needs a helmet, lock, lights, whatever, Thursdays are for teens. Our Friday night ride is called Gatos en Ronda, which means cruising cats. And it's just a 10 to 15 mile casual community bike ride. No one's left behind. So that means it's a no drop ride. Anybody from any background or skill level can show up. It's a great group of people. And that's, like exploring different trails, exploring different ways to get around town, navigate, the urban setting. We have a women trans femme night every Tuesday night. So every Tuesday night, the shop's all, just for women trans femme identifying people. And that's really great because the cycling industry is very male dominated. And so we're very through our programming, we're really, really committed to racial equity and social justice through biking, through the lens of the bicycle.
That's great. Brings everybody together.
It brings everybody together. And you know what? And then we have so many events that are just for anybody to show up at. We did a really fun outdoor concert this year at our new space.
Where is that? Tell us where that's.
Yeah, called Bike and Beats. So you bike in, and we had 3 bands lined up and a Thirsty Pigs beer truck and food trucks. And, these events just bring all of those groups and anybody else who wants to participate in, just the joy of biking and bike life. It brings everybody together, like you said.
What's the percentage, do you think, in Iowa City or in the area that ride to work?
2%.
2%. Wow. What's
Maybe
your
less
goal?
than that.
Try to get to 10 or what?
I mean, our goal is to make biking a primary form of transportation. So if we're talking about active, sustainable ways to get around, that includes walking. It includes taking an electric bus. It includes biking. Scooters are something that I see a lot of nowadays. I own 2 cars myself. We all own cars. They're a necessity.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, we're not going to get away from that. But our mission is to make biking specifically very, very affordable and accessible and fun.
Yeah. I got a couple biking stories. I live out north of town, out near Newport Road, so you headed toward Sugar Bottom. And there's a gentleman, I don't know who he is, I don't know what he does. Every day he rides his bike. I don't care if it's 10 below, snow, ice, rain, whatever. I see him on his bike. He'll go in early. He's usually headed in, leaves like 6:15 on Prairie du Chien. And he's got lights on. He's got, he's ready to go. I mean, you can see him. It doesn't go overly fast, but every day I see him on his bike. I don't know how far he goes. I don't know how far he lives out, but and I've seen him in town. And he goes in. He comes back in the evening, usually about the same time, 5:36, and in the dark, whatever. It's the most fascinating thing to me. And he's not a young fella either. He's older. So another story is, a lot of people know who. I don't want to pick on Larry Brown, but he's a friend and past athletic director of City High. And Larry, I see him all the time on Linder Road, on Dubuque and whatever. And I think Larry, I don't know how old Larry is. I'm going to say early 70s. Fabulous shape, stays in great shape for his age. And I think he has a daily routine. I could be wrong. I think it's 7 days a week. Might be 6, but I think it's almost every day. Snow, rain, whatever, Larry's out. And he rides, I think, around 30 miles a day, maybe 35. And he has a certain route. He goes out by the lake and loops around and comes back. So if you haven't seen Larry, I mean, if you're out on that north side, Linder Road in Dubuque, you'll see Larry riding his bike. And I think it's so cool to see people like that out riding their bikes, staying in shape. I came in at one of the a well-known doctor at the hospital. I saw Dr. Matt Howard one morning. He was riding in from his house, and it was neat. I was doing a loop, and I saw him coming in at 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. And it's amazing who you will see on a bike, and it's neat to see more and more people on a bike. Let's talk about COVID and what that meant for like getting some exercise and being on a bike. What did you see at the bike library with COVID?
So when COVID hit, so we're primarily volunteer run still. We have 3 staff now. At the time, we had only 2 staff, and we have 50 volunteers that are active at any given time. So our volunteer roster is, double that, but it takes a lot of volunteer power to keep our shop running. And in COVID, we had to close our doors to our volunteers and our patrons. And it was up to me and my volunteer coordinator at the time to fix up all the bikes and check them out curbside and sell them curbside. So we'd put the bikes outside. People would, come and pick them up. And significant increase. We couldn't keep up. Everything that we, wanted to do was kind of put on pause. And I'm only now just catching up.
Wow.
With I'm the director at the bike library. I'm only now just catching up to where, we kind of wanted to be in 2020. But that's okay because so many more people were getting outside.
Right.
And especially when it comes to biking, people didn't want to take the bus. And so there was a huge shortage of new bikes. And I kind of thought that, we rely on donations to operate. People donate us their old bikes, and we take everything. So no matter what it is, if it's bike related, we will take it because we recycle it, we salvage it for parts, we put two bikes together to make one. A lot of people are very generous and donate us nice bikes so that we don't have to work as hard to, find that bike a new home. I thought our donations would go down, and they actually went up because people were getting outside so much that they were getting new bikes. If you could get a new bike, you did in COVID. And they would donate our old bikes to us. So COVID was not, my experience of it was so different. And I'm grateful for that. Like, I was grateful to be able in a position to give people the option to get outside, to find some joy in a really, really hard time, to give people an alternative transportation option. And, but we had our work cut out for us.
My take on the COVID part was, I think a lot of people that weren't in shape said to themselves, I need to get in shape. I need to be prepared. And I think it woke up the population of people, most people, to say, you know what, let's get some exercise. Let's get some fresh air. Let's ride a bike, go for a walk, whatever you want to do. Go for a swim outside. But do something. Stay in shape, because if you did get sick, it's respiratory, and it's going to affect your lungs. And I thought the positive part of a horrible time was people were out doing something, and I think a ton of people got into cycling, which it sounds like. Talk about the bike library. Are you funded by the city, state? Tell us about your funding sources.
Yeah, so we have a pretty diversified revenue stream. First and foremost, we check out Bikes Away. A library checks out books.
Okay.
And when you put down a deposit, a $150 deposit for your bike, you get to keep it for 6 months.
Wow.
You bring your bike back, we'll give you your money back minus $50. So if you don't bring your bike back, that's okay. We just keep your deposit. So if someone, doesn't bring their bike back after 6 months, we just got $150. So we have, revenue from that. We also sell as-is bikes. So they've been safety checked. People can test ride them and make sure that they want to invest, $30 to $300 in a used bike. They can decide that they want to work on it in our shop, and we'll guide them through anything that they want to do. Or they can ride the bike down to Jeff's Bike and Ski or World of Bikes before they even buy it and get a quote for how much it would cost to, tune it up. And they could get a bike that way. So we have sales of as-is bikes as revenue. And then we sell, used parts, clothes, bike racks, anything bike related that people donate us. Donations, when people come in and want to work on their bike, it's called Rent-A-Bench. It's free. You can come and work on your bike for free and maybe have to pay a few bucks for, a new tube or something. But people decide that they want to donate for using the space sometimes. The county, Johnson County is one of our biggest supporters. So we get I write a grant every year through Quality of Life, and we've gotten Quality of Life block grant every year for the last 5 years. And that has been instrumental in helping us to start to level up the amount of people we can serve. We have gotten 2 climate action grants through the city. So 2 $10,000 grants to do renovations to our new space.
And where is it? Tell us.
Yep. So we're down on South Gilbert Court, if you know where Big Grove is.
Yeah.
Gilbert Court parallels Gilbert Street.
Right.
So we are down by the Advanced Electric or
Brandt Heating was down there.
I think Brandt Heating was down there.
Yeah.
Salvation Army Community Crisis Center. So we're on South Gilbert Court, and we bought our building in January 2021. It was in COVID. We were a little nervous, but we were getting kicked out of our old place because it was going to be demoed.
That's where Moen built, right there on his towers, his 15-story building, right downtown on. We
were there for 10 years, and then we had to move again. We were actually on South Dubuque Street before we moved to our new place.
Oh, okay.
And Tim Dwight was our landlord. He's been super generous with us over the years. So we rented from him. And then Jeff Edberg helped us find and secure a place down on South Gilbert Court. 7,000 square feet. We got it for $400,000. And we put $60,000 down. And so in 2026, in February 2026, our balloon interest rate is done, and our plans for the future. We're currently, what I'm getting at is we're currently in the planning phase of a capital and programmatic campaign to secure our future for the next 20 years. 2024 is our 20-year anniversary. Secure our building and our organization's future for the next 20 years. Stabilize some vital teen programming. We do a lot with youth and teens, and we're overwhelmed with that, and we need a point person for that. We need to hire another staff to take care of that. We would like to do some more energy efficiency upgrades to our building. So I was saying the city has given us some climate action grants. We want to electrify all of our utilities and eventually plug into solar and reach net zero carbon emissions so that our building is retrofitted and reflects the sustainability values of our organization.
Great. How large is your building?
7,000 square feet.
Oh, so you won't need any space. I mean, that's plenty of space.
It's plenty of space for us. I mean, if you'll come down sometime, I'll give you a tour, and we fill it up.
Oh, do you? Wow, that's great.
Yes. We process 2,000 bikes a year.
So people that want to contribute, tell us a little bit about that while we're on this, and especially if you're going into 24, your 20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
How can people help?
Well, first and foremost, if they have bikes or bike parts, they can donate them.
Okay.
Anytime. We are open Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and then we have a rack outside that you can lock bikes up to if we're not there. So donations of bikes and bike parts. If you're interested in getting involved in volunteering, whatever you want to maybe contribute, we will work with you to figure out how you fit in to the crew.
Okay.
Most people come to the bike library without any mechanical experience at all. And even though that's not just what we do, some people think that like, oh, okay, I don't know how to fix bikes, I can't volunteer. That's not true at all. Everybody brings something that they know how to do. And as we move into the future, in the next couple of years, if there are, people that are well-versed in, fundraising, are interested in advancing our county to be not only the showcase of Eastern Iowa, but of the Midwest. Iowa City could be the showcase, the corridor could be the showcase for energy efficiency and sustainable living. And if there's, people who are passionate about that want to get involved, they can contact me. Be happy to sit down with them and talk to them about what excites them about getting more people on bikes and getting more people on bikes who might not otherwise have the opportunity to do that. So, the last initiative that we are also working on in the next couple of years is to expand we're very education focused. So when you come to our shop, we're not going to do a repair for you. We're going to show you how to do it. And so the person whose bike is in question, that's the person who's holding the tools. That's the person who's fumbling their way through their first fix, maybe that they've ever done before. And it takes some time, but with a little patience and some guidance too, and a space to do it in where you feel like, okay, these people want me here. Like this is neat. So we're very education focused, and we want to expand that education to the outdoor space and create an outdoor education community green space. So if you've been down on South Gilbert Court, it's a lot of concrete. And we want to introduce some stormwater best practice management, green areas. Right now we have a makeshift test ride loop around our parking lot, so we don't have to throw new riders out onto the street to test ride bikes. So we want to make that, a lot nicer for them. And just in general, create a community space where people can come and be outside together for free and not feel like they have to pay anything or do anything other than just be there, be themselves, and maybe get some education.
Yeah, you mentioned Jeff Edberg. He's a friend too. Did you know he's a heck of a cyclist?
I did know that.
He used to be, yeah. So that's great. And also, people can write a check too, right? If they want to contribute to the bike library.
Absolutely.
For funding or race, or if you got ideas on funding, I think that's because people want to know how they can help. So you take bikes, you go in, you work on your own bike. I think that's neat to teach people how to, because a lot of people just have no idea even where to start. A lot of times, if you can just hang it up on a rack and be able to get at it as opposed to on the floor, just some of those small things make a big difference to people if they know how to do it. So and
it increases their confidence as a cyclist.
Yeah.
So if
you have a flat tire,
if you know how to shift, I know it sounds very, just like silly, but most people, and I didn't learn how to shift until I was in my 20s. Most people that come to our shop don't know the basics of braking, shifting, maybe just adjusting their handlebars, adjusting their stem to make their bike a little bit more comfortable so that they can enjoy their ride more. All of those things contribute to more confidence when you're out in the streets. And when you're more confident on your bike, you're less likely to get into some sort of thing with a car. You're more likely to ride further than you might ever ride. And so having that kind of foundational knowledge of how your bike works, maybe a couple things on how to fix it. If your linear pull breaks, if the noodle comes out, and you just, some people don't know how to put their brakes back on, a quick release brake, how to put their wheel back on if they want to take their bike somewhere else, to enjoy riding. It definitely builds confidence as people progress on their bike journey.
Let's talk about the different kinds of bikes, because today there's obviously the new craze is electronic bikes. There's fatties. There's mountain bikes. We could talk about mountain bikes for a long time. Just talk about sugar bottom trails are fantastic. But go through the different kinds of bikes. What do you see at the library?
So we get all kinds of bikes donated. Most recently, we've had 2 recumbent trikes that we've gotten out the door. And these, I think this is really cool, because adaptable bikes or adaptive bikes for people who can't ride a regular 2-wheel bike are kind of cost prohibitive. But also they make it possible for someone who might not be able to ride, to get out. And we're pretty good at finding homes for these bikes for people who need them. And so Nan and Craig are 2 people that got recumbent trikes from us recently, and you should have seen their smiles. They, after not being on a bike for a really long time and finally finding something that fits them, so they can get out, do their errands, enjoy life, outside. So we get all different kinds. road bikes, lots of old road bikes. If you've been on an old road bike lately, you'll know that they're not that comfortable.
Right.
Those are for the 20-year-olds
Yeah.
that don't want to spend a ton of money, that still, can do whatever.
Yeah, the seats aren't very comfortable on those either.
No.
And the way you have to hang on them and whatever, it's way different now.
We have a volunteer, Kim Carpenter, who's been with us for a really long time, and he's the backbone of how our production and how many bikes we're getting out. And one thing we've done a lot more of in the past, and that he's really good at doing, is how the old stems, the gooseneck stems, used to point down. Mm-hmm. They were really aggressive position, and then you had the drop handlebars that made it even more aggressive. We like to put the high-rise goosenecks on, the coil stems on the bike. So switch out the stem, put flat or riser bar handlebars on there, and turn a road bike into something that's more comfortable that people can ride around town. And yeah, Kim does a great job of retrofitting old bikes and making them more comfortable for people just want to ride around town. But we see all different kinds of bikes.
How do people know where you're at? How do people know that they can go buy a bike or rent a bike or check a bike out? I mean, are you on a website? How do you get the word out?
So the main way that people find out about us is actually, not surprisingly, by word of mouth. We recently did a poll over the last few months to see how people found out about us, and it was by word of mouth. But we do have a website, it's bikelibrary.com. I am very active on social media, Bike Librarian on Instagram and Facebook. But mainly it's word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Huh.
And we're the gateway drug for the bike life.
Right.
And so people get hooked on it, and they want to bring their friends, they want to bring their family, they bring their parents. And I think that when people walk into our shop, they really feel like good in the space. And so it makes them want to bring their friends and their family too.
So have you lobbied the city council in Iowa City? Because I've noticed in the last, 3 or 4 or 5 years, a lot more bike lanes. I know Dodge Street coming in, there's a bike lane. I know Mormon Track has some things going out. Have you helped with that, or is that just something the council wants to be aware of, the bike lanes, and adding that to the ability of living in Iowa City?
Yeah. So I serve on the bike advisory committee. I can't take much credit though for those changes that have been happening. Sarah Walls and Kent at the Metropolitan Planning Organization are kind of responsible for really pushing that into the urban planning design. They're both commuters and avid cyclists, and it really does take someone who intimately knows the lifestyle at the planning and organization level to implement those changes. And Sarah Walls has been spearheading that for a long time.
Give us some ideas on bike etiquette, because I know if you've ridden a bike long enough, you're going to have a run-in with a car or whatever, people throwing things at you or being run off the road or honked at or whatnot. So can you give us just some ideas on in an urban environment? We can get out in the country too and gravel, and we can talk about that here. But just in town, what are some things to be aware of when you're around cars and people?
So if you're just riding by yourself, it's very easy. Use hand signals, right, left, stopping. If you're riding with a friend or a group of people, communicating intentions. And, if you're riding around town, you should treat, bikes should be treated as roadway users the same way cars should, have to follow the rules. Stop at the stop signs. Use your signals, and just not be in a rush to get somewhere. If you're riding with people, sometimes you want to talk to that person, but you kind of have to be aware of your surroundings. We have some kids programs, and when I run those kids programs, I always tell the kids, use your eyeballs, scan with your eyeballs. If you can't see someone's eyeballs, they can't see you.
Right.
So you got to look at the motorist in the eyes so that when you're crossing the street, they see you and you see them. And if they don't see you, if you can't see their eyeballs, then they might not be able to see you.
Right.
And you got to be always scanning everywhere, 360. Right. And so just being aware of your surroundings. Riding your bike in the sidewalk is a little more dangerous than riding in the street.
Right. Because
you're going through driveways. Cars don't expect you to be coming fast through there. Whereas on the road, you kind of like, it feels a lot more vulnerable, but at least you can be seen. I think wearing bright colors and always having lights on is another thing.
Flashing lights.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them on helmets now. On the
helmets
back of the
have
helmets.
them now. Yep.
So.
And then, so there's etiquette for riding in town. There's etiquette for riding with another person. I like to go on side streets if I'm riding with a person and like to, we're having a conversation. We want to ride side by side, but we're not going down a main road, side by side, holding up traffic. Right. And communicating that with the people that you're with. Say, hey, let's get off, the main road here. And then riding with a group of people, that's another level of etiquette.
Sometimes it frustrates cars if you're riding with a group and you get 3 or 4 side by side instead of kind of like getting 2 so they can get by them.
Two abreast.
Yeah. So you see 4 or 5
abreast.
like all the way. Come on, guys, I got to get by it. So that's when I think motorists get a little excited when they see that
Yep, that's for after the ride.
Yeah.
When you're hanging out after the ride, if you want to all be in the same group talking, but 2 abreast is the maximum. I think.
Right, it's probably a good idea. Tell us about some of the places you can go. You got Hills and Back, which is fabulous. You got the bike lane, Hills and Back. It's level. It's a great route. Just give us some ideas of where people can ride, and maybe talk a little bit about gravel rides, which are kind of the thing anymore. Kind of a big crowd getting into gravel right now.
My 2 favorite rides are mountain bike rides. Sugar Bottom and the Coralville Trails. So you can ride from the east side of Iowa City out to Woodpecker Trails and out to the new Flow Trail and the, that new section that they've put out, mountain biking section trails in Coralville all the way west.
Oh, by the Ready Mix plant all the way up. Those are unbelievable, by the way.
So you can.
And they just got that under the bridge, I think. They paved that. So.
Now you can go all the way to Tiffin.
Yeah.
So I like going out there, doing the trails, coming back on the trails, and you can do that in 2 hours. So that's a good ride. And then if you bike out to Sugar Bottom, it's about a 45 to an hour minute bike if you bike out there. Ride the trails and then bike back. So that's like a whole afternoon. I was recently out in Colorado and in Steamboat. It's the muddy season. I brought my bike out there. I didn't get to ride it once.
Oh, wow.
Because it was too muddy. But I was like, I don't really care. I'm going back to Iowa City and we have Sugar Bottom.
Right.
And it's just as fun.
It is. And people don't realize how good Sugar Bottom is. It's amazing. If you want a mountain bike experience, it's amazing. It's a gem, and they don't realize it until you're on it.
Yeah, ICOR has really done an incredible job of putting us on the map.
And if you want to get strong to just normal cycle, do mountain biking.
Yes.
That'll get you in shape.
And, it really does elevate your handling skills.
Oh, yeah.
As much, and so if you want to get better handling skills, have quicker response times and whatever, definitely do mountain biking. It also makes navigating the urban pavement, which is full of potholes and cracks and curbs and everything, it makes that a lot easier. So I love mountain biking. I just got a new mountain bike from Jeff's.
Oh, did you?
And I love it.
You cyclocross?
I do.
Tell us about that. Some people don't know what that is. And just explain that.
So cyclocross is a off-road circuit race. So you're riding in the grass, you're riding over maybe some obstacles, you're getting off your bike and hopping over obstacles. My favorite one is the City Park Cross Race. It's great for beginners, and you get to, snake through all the oak trees at Upper City Park. It just depends. It's, it could be 25 minutes, 35 minutes, 45 minutes, and you're riding on a circuit. So you might only get, 4 loops done, but you're doing the same loop over and over until time's up. And I would say it's the hardest.
When is it?
It's in the fall.
So is it harder than Jingle Cross going up Mount Crumpet?
So that's a cyclocross race.
Yeah.
That's the hardest.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's the hardest kind of racing you'll do. Like if you're not tasting blood in your throat, you're not doing it right.
Wow. Well, can you ride up Mount Crumpet, or do you have to run up it?
No, run up it.
Yeah, there's some people ride up it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. I mean,
they're pros.
Yeah, they're extremely strong.
Yes.
So anyway, so it's in the fall. So we got the cyclocross, mountain biking. What about gravel? Let's talk about gravel. A lot of people are out in gravel now.
People love gravel, and the thing about gravel is like you don't need a special gravel bike to ride gravel necessarily.
Right.
You can take a 30-year-old bike, and as long as you have tire clearance, put new tires on it.
Yep.
Get yourself some new tires. That's the number one way to upgrade your bike. Just get new tires. People come in and try to buy used tires from us, and I'm like, what's your budget?
Yeah.
Because if you can afford some new tires, it will be a game changer.
Yeah.
So putting a little bit wider tires on whatever bike you have.
Right.
And getting your PSI dialed in. So
What do you recommend on gravel?
it depends on the tire.
Yeah.
So you want to get as low as you can go. And it's not going to make you slower. It's kind of like counterintuitive, but it's not as low as mountain biking. So I run, 15 or 16 PSI in my mountain bike tires. I try to get as low as I possibly can. On my gravel bike / cross bike, I think I run 38s, and 30 is the highest I'll go, 30 PSI. So having a digital gauge is so helpful. Like that is one little piece of gear that I would recommend people get, because then they can really figure out what their tire pressure needs to be. And when we take people out on community rides on Fridays, we stop about 4 times, and sometimes we do a little gravel section, and we'll stop, ask people if they want to check their PSI, because it really does take, it's like adjusting your seat. If you put a new seat on your bike, it's not going to be comfortable right away.
Right.
You have to stop, make an adjustment, see how you like that micro adjustment, continue on, stop again. It's the same with PSI. You have to take the time to figure out what is right for you. But if you're going out on the gravel and it's bumpy and not comfortable, then your PSI is probably too high.
Yeah. I remember one time on a fatty ride, it was icy and snowing. It was in Coralville on Camp Cardinal. And I get out there in a fat tire. I think I probably had 8 or 9, 10 pounds in my tires. And I got out on it, was sliding around, couldn't stay up. And I looked at some guys that were near me. I said, how much pressure you got in your tires? He said 3.
Yeah.
I go, 3? That is, it's flat. He goes, well, try it. And when you get out there, you're fine. So, yeah, that PSI is very important, really important.
Yep. Get a Digi.
Yeah, I got to get one of those. I don't have one of those. I'll be on Amazon when I get out of here. So,
or World of Bikes at Jeff's Bikes and Ski Shields. They're great.
And how does that work? A digital one?
You just shove the
valve on it.
You open your valve. You have probably Presta valves.
Yeah, yeah.
But they work for Presta and Trader.
Okay.
And you just shove the digital caliper on, and it'll beep and tell you what PSI you're at. You can release more if you want. You can put more in if you need to.
That'd be pretty slick. So what else can you tell us about the bike library? I mean, we know where it's at. We know what it does. You can check a bike out. We got great trails around here. We got mountain biking. We got gravel. We got cyclocross. Got anything you want to do. You got your 20-year anniversary next year, right?
Yep.
Anything else that you want to cover here today about getting on a bike? Encourage everybody to get out on your bike. Let's get that, what is it, 1-2%? Let's get it up to what, 4%? Double it next year?
We could double it next year.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You know, one of my friends so we do we're part of a study with the University of Iowa College of Public Health injury prevention research team. Kara Hammond leads this 5-year study on youth safety when it comes to biking. And so we have a bike club that happens every summer for kids that are 9 to 12 years old. And it's funded by the National Health Institute, and we put gear like GPS, cameras, all the gear on a kid's bike, and they, take the class and they ride it around, but it's to check to see if the curriculum that we're using to teach kids, because, growing up in the States, we didn't have bike school.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have bike club. You just your parents put you on a bike and they let you go.
Right.
Which is why I didn't know how to shift until I was in my 20s.
That's interesting.
And so we're really trying to figure out what curriculum is best to give kids at an early age so that they stay on their bikes or they stay riding. They make it a lifelong thing. So we do this study with Kara and her team, and one of the guys on the crew, he said that he's from Iran. He said that when he came to the States a couple years ago, he could see a difference just in 2 years of the increase of bike riders, even in the last year. He attributed that to the bike library, which made me very happy. I'm not sure if that is the case or not. I think we're all kind of in this together, but I thought that was really special, and I think we can double it.
Good. Well, let's do it. Well, I think it's a neat idea you have. I mean, the bike library, getting people active. I had a friend the other day that lost a bunch of weight, and he looked great, and we were just talking. I said, what are you doing? I was trying to figure out what, have you been eating less? And he said, you know what? I bike 30 minutes a day. And I think he gets after it for 30 minutes, but does a nice, strong bike. But it doesn't have to be a long. You have to go ride for 6 hours on a weekend. You just need to ride. And he got active. He knew how to ride a bike as a kid, and then he's older now, and he just stays active by riding 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to take a long time to do it. It's just being active. So, anything else you'd like to add today? So the bike library, funding, get out and meet people, lots of different kinds of rides. It just sounds like a fun thing.
Yeah. If there are people that want to be part of this movement that we're doing here in Johnson County, we don't just serve Iowa City folks. We serve Coralville, North Liberty. We're very excited that we're going to have a sister organization in Cedar Rapids.
Oh, good.
It's called Chain Reaction. It's being formed right now. We had folks from Lynn County Public Health and a bunch of cyclists from Cedar Rapids coming to the bike library saying, why don't we have one of these in our town?
Yeah.
And so a group of us got together and decided that we were going to make a major push to get a community bike shop started in Cedar Rapids. And as of 2 weeks ago, they have their own name. They're doing their first fundraiser event this Saturday. It's just a bike wash, but it's happening now.
Good.
So we serve a lot of people that come from Hills, Washington. People come to us from Muscatine. So we serve a lot of people who are living in rural towns as well. So we don't just serve Iowa City. So if there's anybody that wants to get, involved and helping me expand the boundaries of what's possible in a bike shop,
Good.
They can get in contact with me. I'm really easy to find. I answer all the social media stuff. And I'd be happy to sit down and talk with them.
Good. What's your address, and give me your website again here?
We're at 1222 South Gilbert Court, bikelibrary.com.
Great. Well, Audrey, it's been fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
I wish I had my bike here. I'm getting excited now just listening to you to go ride. So anyway, thanks a lot for coming out. We appreciate it.
Are you doing any riding this weekend?
It's getting a little cold, but that's when the fun happens. This weekend, I don't know. I might Saturday morning. I might. I haven't. What do you got this weekend?
I'm excited to explore the Dubuque trails.
Ooh.
I've never been to the Dubuque mountain bike trails, but I've heard they're awesome. So I think a couple buddies and I are going to go up and explore those. It's going to be 40 degrees.
Right. It'll be all right.
But
just dress warm, right? Wear some gloves.
There is one thing that we do in the winter. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it gets slower in the winter." We don't. We keep it going all winter long. But we have a program called Stay Cozy Winter Cycling. And so if you've never ridden through the winter before and you want to for the first time, you can sign up for Stay Cozy Winter Cycling, and we will outfit your body and your bike with anything you need to ride through the winter to make it more comfortable. So your bike, fenders, studded tires, racks, maybe making the bike more upright because you have so many more clothes on.
Right.
And then your body, we take in donations of cold weather riding gear as well. And so people get to choose what they, want from these racks of clothes that make biking way more easier in the winter. So if people want to participate in Stay Cozy Winter Cycling, they can get in touch with us. Or if they have a bunch of old, used rain, winter bike gear that they want to donate, we're taking donations.
If you have the right equipment, the right shoes or boots, the right type of gloves, and you have a helmet and maybe a face mask or some
Ski
kind of goggles, you're fine.
Yeah.
And it's
Can't be
exhilarating.
stopped.
Yeah, you just get out and go. You get a sweat going, and people just don't realize. They think we're crazy when it's that cold, but it's actually fun.
It's
if
so
you have the
much
right
fun.
equipment.
If
need
you have
the
the
right
right
clothes.
equipment.
So, Audrey, this has been fantastic. I appreciate you coming out today. And
Pleasure.
I encourage everybody to get to the bike library. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.